The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 21st day of July, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Michaela Ian, and Liana Lambert will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break. Michaela, it's hump day. What's happening?
Listen, so you know I drink iced coffee this time of year, right? Mm-hmm. So I usually make my coffee the night before, and then I put it in the fridge to chill it. So in the morning, I'm ready to go. So this morning at 7:35, I was like, all right, let me pour my coffee. I put my coffee, I put my milk, put my ice. I was like, I'll put it in the freezer. So it's super, super chill. How about now, the whole top is hard?
I was like,
all the ice is stuck together. The straw won't move. I'm like, okay.
Hold on. Does this mean we're going to get a coffee less?
No, because it's going to melt because it's hot.
Okay. All right, cool.
I will
temperature will balance it out. Hey, that's what you call balance, folks. That's what you call balance. But it is hump day. Good morning to everyone. Good one today as Tamara Richardson from the MVMT Moment. She's going to be stopping by to discuss this month's focus, which is pretty fun. Water and dehydration, especially with the amount of alcohol many consume, or sugary products, or carbs, and barbecues and coffee. How important water is during this time of year in Bermuda. Don't forget, Daily Play brought to you by Heineken 0.0 is a say it, don't sing it. So Michaela is guessing the lyrics to a famous song. I think she's going to get this one with ease. This is just...
I hope so. I didn't get last week. I was like,
Well, last week we took you back 40 years before I was born. So, I mean, we went way back. That was Sam
Way
Cooke.
back.
Yeah, Sam Cooke. A change is going to come. But this is new school, Kales. This is... You were in college, bump into this one. That's a hint.
Okay.
That's a hint.
We'll see.
Alrighty. So look, we've got some things to cover today. There are a few things from the conversation with the premier that are still on my mind that are concerning about the economy. I think, we're so, and I don't think distracted, but our focus is so much on other things that are put before us, like the pandemic, the vaccine. But I think the problems that were there before the pandemic and the vaccine are probably going to be bigger and right in front of us after it. And that's our economy, our economic issues. And one of the things I had reached out to Michaela yesterday, I was like, we don't discuss a third pillar enough. It's always tourism or IB to try to get us out of this hole. But why are we not speaking amongst ourselves about a third economic pillar? So that's one thing. But also there's something that happened in Texas, Michaela. That should be very concerning to a lot of people. And, if something happens in one red state in the United States, it tends to, spread to others, right? Want to talk to him a bit about that, because that's whoa.
Sure. So basically what happened is, and I really want to make sure that I'm getting it correct, because it was whoa, buddy. All right. So according to HuffPost, Texas Senate bill drops teaching requirement that Ku Klux Klan is morally wrong. So basically in Texas, in the school curriculum, they've been teaching white supremacy. And that's cool. But also they cut out the Ku Klux, I always say it wrong. They cut out the KKK and it's white supremacy content, but also They've also dropped Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, the works of Cesar Chavez, Susan B. Anthony's writings, and Native American history. Mm-hmm. So you're comparing the KKK and white supremacy to Martin Luther King? Like, that's what we're doing in Texas?
Well, and I think, there's a tweet by Jarvis Johnston, not sure who he is, where he's saying, here's why Governor Abbott, governor of Texas, added critical race theory to the special session. He doesn't want our kids to learn that white supremacy is morally wrong.
Yes.
Well, here's the challenge, and this may upset, it may not surprise some people, but I'm not quite sure I have as much an issue, especially growing up in a space where I didn't learn about Black history. I didn't learn about, let's say, the things that Rashida Godwin's teaching about Prince and so on. I didn't learn that. So I think this is really just returning to that. However, I think this puts more of an emphasis on the parents, the guardians, the families. I'm not saying it's right what they're doing. I'm just saying, you know what? We've been saying it for probably the last decade. You cannot send your children to your enemies for an education, right? And that's what you're technically doing in that system, right? It's what it is. So, but if the law requires that you do that, then we have to ensure that we are giving them the education that they're not getting in that space. Now, as a taxpayer, I agree that, if I'm paying for this education through my taxes, then you shouldn't be making it biased and putting it in a space where, this is okay, the KKK, this is right, or Dr. King is wrong and we can't teach this. I think you have an argument. But at the end of the day, I think the emphasis is probably on the parents, the families, the guardians to educate their children in spaces that the government's not taking, responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, but at the same time, you have to remember, students, children, they spend the majority of the time at school, right? So as much as, of course, parents need to educate their children and so forth, but we trust our teachers to do that, But when you have a state that has a curriculum that's inherently racist, and you can't afford private school, for instance, where the curriculum is not racist and not opposed to teaching about Martin Luther King and women's rights and Native American history, then what do you do, right? Because, I mean, most parents I know don't have time to sit around and homeschool their children.
You know what, Michaela? I think you're onto something. And I think you're onto something in this respect that I didn't consider. What about those parents who don't have that time? They're working, right? They don't have time to necessarily go over certain things with them. They can't afford the tutoring that comes with it. You can put a book in front of a child, but it's up to that child to want to read it or actually read that. There is, it's a tough spot. It's a tough spot. I mean, I guess the question to the audience, is it the responsibility of public school systems to teach history? I mean, it's a simple question. Do you think is it the responsibility of public school systems to teach history? And when I say history, I mean history as it was and, is, not as we want it to be.
Right. And like the thing about it is, I'm thinking about it in terms of Black children in the Texas public school system being taught from 5 years old that white people are better than them. That's crazy. Like, that's wild to me. I can't even fathom a curriculum where my Black children are taught that white supremacy is great and the KKK and, I can't even fathom that, let alone parents who, don't have time to sit down and do these things, So I think it is the responsibility of a public school system to teach history. It is the responsibility of the school district or whoever is creating this, the curriculum, to ensure that the curriculum is not inherently racist. Because that's wild.
Yeah, let's go to, we have some comments. Carol Marks is stating that is correct. Truly the wild, wild west. Thankful my kids have already finished K to 12. Carla John, I think she emphasizes what you said, Michaela. What about parents who don't have the education necessary to adequately teach their child? Michelle White, she's saying, yes, real history as it was and its relevance today. She believes that it is the public school system's responsibility. Carmel Mitchell-Jones, Michaela.
For me, history is nothing more than the view of the person who wrote the book. History or experiences should be taught at home.
Yeah. And when I speak about history being taught at home, I'm not saying like, there has to be a formal education perspective. I mean, I literally mean like, how we go around elders. And I want to give this shout out today, and I meant to do it since Monday. Condolences to the family of Charles Leroy Riley. Mr. Riley was actually very influential for myself and Teo when I was working at Hot 107.5. He didn't know me from Adam. He would come to that station at least twice a week when he would visit the Bermuda Industrial Union. I didn't know Mr. Riley, who he was or what he was about when he first came and spoke to us. But this is an example of history and what it meant to him. He taught me a lot about Bermuda history politically and about, unions and tourism. It was actually him, not anything I learned in school or from my experiences. And that's what I mean about history. I didn't learn about the history of the unions in public school. I didn't learn about the racist history of the United Bermuda Party in public schools. I didn't learn about the Bermuda Recorder. I actually learned that from people like the late Laverne Ferbert and Mr. Charles Leroy Riley Sr. So when I speak about like it's not being necessarily the responsibility of the public school system, I'm not saying that they don't have a responsibility. I'm just saying that the elders are in spaces where all they need to do is have a conversation. And I will always credit Mr. Riley. I'll never forget, I was new into, interviewing people, having conversations with people on the radio. And he would come to me afterwards and he would say things like, Jamal, when such and such said this would have been a great follow-up. Right. And then I understood how important follow-ups were. Now, with certain programs, you don't have enough time, but he actually filled a lot of gaps for me in terms of helping me understand. It was an article in the Bermuda Sun many years ago where Tony Brennan, always under fire, had accused Black people of ruining tourism. Right. He said it was the unions. He didn't say Black people. Sorry, I take that back. Retract. But he said the unions were responsible for tourism.
The unions.
And I remember Mr. Riley coming to me and saying, who represents the unions mainly? It's Black people. And Mr. Riley went on to say that it's easy to blame the unions for wanting better.
Yeah.
It's easy for them to, that's what he's saying, that the unions are to blame because they want it better for the everyday employee. And I would have not seen it like that, honestly, because you're growing up, you read the newspaper and you're like, man, you heard it, you see this side of the story and you're like, if they wouldn't have been on strike, then maybe these hotels would have stayed in Bermuda. But at what expense? Right? At what expense?
Yeah. No, and that's the thing about it. Like, I think that the public school system has a responsibility to set the foundation. But like you, everything that I have learned about Bermuda's history, I learned when I was a 19-year-old summer student reporter at the Royal Gazette. And I decided to soak up as much information as I could. I didn't know who Buck Burrows and Larry Tacklin were.
Right.
I didn't find out about any of these things until I decided to research because I wanted to learn everything that I could about Bermuda's history so that I could be a well-rounded reporter who knew what she was talking about. But there are a lot of people who won't do that on their own accord,
Indeed. No, it's interesting. I remember I had asked you when I was at Hot, you were at the RG. I was looking for an article and I had asked you, I don't know if you remember this, and you went in the archives, must have found it for me within a few hours. And I actually did that with Tarai Trott the other day. I was looking for something and I hit him up. And it's crazy because, folks, sometimes history is right at our fingertips. Legit. And things are archived. It could be so easy to find. But again, this is my relationship with Michaela and Tarai was easy for me. How many young children, right, or families don't have that access to these people? So, at the end of the day, taxpayers' dollars. Karl Marx, Michaela.
The issue lies not between us melanated families who make sure our kids are taught the real history. It has more to do with appeasing the supremacist mindset of the majority here that wish to further whitewash. Absolutely.
And she says, and yes, I live here in Texas. Oh, bless you, Carol. Bless you. Stay cool down in that hot state. Hell, it is. David Michael David Michael Wilson says, while it might not be the direct responsibility of the school to teach history to children, they should at least help provide some content and relevance. Sean Smith, he's saying that if we have not demanded this type of curriculum to be taught in our public school system, then it is on us, the taxpayers. So that's a good point. Rashida Godwin, Michaela.
They can come on the Titan tours to learn Black Bermuda history and the African diaspora history. We are committed to teaching and sharing that history, maybe she means. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, question, I mean, and fair enough, Rashida, but if people are paying taxes, and that's, public school system is not free, I mean, because people's taxes go towards that, then unless you're giving the tours free, then you're literally, it's an expense for people. So I think the concern is that their taxpayers' dollars are going towards an education product or service, and they're not getting what they deem important for their children. So now they have to go spend what they don't have. That's the point of it, Sam Cat, please, Michaela.
I learned a lot of Bermuda history in primary school, some gaps filled by my parents, and some in high school civics class. Conversation is necessary at home as these kids are growing up in such a critical time in history and have so many questions. Absolutely. And like last year, for instance, when the whole Black Lives Matter reached a boiling point, I had to sit and have conversations with my son and explain to him how it's relevant in Bermuda, and explain to him the history and why Bermuda is still so racially segregated. And he was just like, really? And I was like, yeah.
No, but it's not something that you would just realize just by going outside. These conversations need to be had.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Nikki Michelle says, I don't think we generally do a great job at telling our stories, and thus other people tell them for us, / the union tribe. Well, here's the thing with that. I used to say it all the time, and this was my big issue with tourism, right? Working in the BTA, there were no Bermudians running the show, right? And when I say Bermudians, there were no Michaelas or Jamals or Lianas or Jackie Lambert. Like, there were none of us. What you had were whitewashed thinking Bermudians, if they were there, or non-Bermudians that relied on us and brain drained us, right? And I felt like, all the time, like, why do we allow other people to tell our story, promote our story, and sell our story? There's something wrong with that picture. And hopefully something can get done about it. Amanda Blakeney says, Warwick Sack, Dr. Tankard, and others left no stone unturned as it relates to Bermuda history, civics, etc. Carol Marks, Michaela.
The irony of the Texas Senate is that Black folks and their allies have been celebrating Juneteenth since its occurrence. We had no idea what Juneteenth was until we moved here 23 years ago. The irony now is that Juneteenth was just passed federally as a holiday, and Texas Senate has now blocked children from knowing why Juneteenth exists. Make it make sense.
Carol, when they passed that, honestly, I was one of those people. I'm like, I'm not quite sure we should be celebrating this. Like, for people that were saying it's a step. And I'm like, Black people been taking steps.
No. It's a trinket.
Our feet should be tired. Exactly. Like, no. So I'm with you on that. Rashida Godwin says we have to remember that education in a Eurocentric system, and they won't do it to the extent it needs to be done. I concur, Rashida. Look, this is something, again, and the question comes out of what happened in Texas. And if you are just joining us, as Michaela read, according to the Huffington Post, the Texas Senate behind Governor, is it Greg Abbott? I think his name is.
Yeah.
Governor Abbott. Basically, they're trying to whitewash history. They don't want things like Dr. King and his "I Have a Dream" speech taught. They don't want people thinking the Ku Klux Klan was bad. Like, they're really trying to just change history.
And they also don't want to learn about the women's suffragist movement.
Yeah.
So you don't want children, girls, to know why they have rights and who fought for them. That's crazy.
Thank you for saying that, because that is an important part, folks, that we should not ignore. The whole women, and I'm just like, I can sit here and play devil's advocate all morning. I can say, well, you know what? It's all responsibility to teachers. It's all responsibility. I can sit here and do that. But at the end of the day, even I cannot make sense of racism and white supremacy as is, folks. So let's one last question. Bring Leanna in. Michaela's not keeping me in check, folks. Usually she'd be slapping me.
I was just about to say something.
She'd be slapping me. Sean Smith, how long have we had a black government in power? And we have been having this conversation. And Sean's related to the government of Bermuda. Well, look, I'll say this, my last shot of the government of Bermuda. 1998 we thought was a turning point. But as the question that I can put to the premier over and over and over is, how many black businesses that employ, more than 10 people have been created under the PLP governance. That's on them. Renee Sherilyn Simmons, last comment before we bring Leanna and Michaela.
I wish they would continue to teach Bermuda history in schools. I remember learning that Spanish rock was discovered by a man from Spain, to later learn I was taught wrong. It was actually discovered by Portuguese and thus changed the name. We needed correct Bermudian history. Absolutely.
Yeah, Portuguese rock is now called, right?
Yes, I actually went to the unveiling of that, and I was just like, really? Oh, this was wrong for hundreds of years. Okay.
So how many other things have we been told wrong? Nikki Michelle, I like another comment. History always belongs to the victor. The victor is typically the entity that the most power and money, of which black people do not hold either. And this is important, folks. This is important. Carla John says conservative politicians are using CRT as a distraction. Critical race theory is CRT, folks, as a distraction from handling actual systemic racism. Look, Leanna, good morning, sister. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, history.
Which actually used to be one of my favorite subjects in school. So, really? But then, don't really get to learn about Bermuda's history, but yeah.
Interesting. I it's very rare to meet someone who actually enjoyed history, and that is a good thing because
I enjoy history. That's why I can answer all your questions.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, she does answer all the questions, right? But yeah. So these are two unique people, folks. You found them here on the Daily Hour. Lee, let's get to your news break, and then we'll be back. Tamara Richardson, another important conversation. This is history as well, because growing up, and this is a stereotype that I really believe we're shaking black people. We were always drinking sugary drinks, and there's a term that Bermudians love to drink that is based on alcohol and so on. Look, we have to change our diet. We have to start with drinking more water. Stay hydrated. So looking forward to the conversation with Tamara. But before we get there, Leanna's going to bring us some good news, at least in the weather, I hope. Right?
Kinda, maybe, not really.
No.
Thanks, Jamala, Michaela, and happy hump day to everyone. We have made it to the middle of the week, and I hope everyone is having a great start to their day. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for the Daily Hour News Break. So taking a look at today's top stories. Immunized travelers will no longer have to take a day 14 COVID-19 test after returning to Bermuda. Instead, Kim Wilson, the Minister of Health, said that starting this Friday, they would only have to test on arrival, day 4 and day 10. Previously, travelers had to be tested on arrival day 4, day 8, and day 14. Now, no reason was given for the change, but hoteliers and tourism industry leaders have said that Bermuda's frequent testing requirements have been a deterrent to tourism bookings. The news came during last night's government press conference as a further 5 cases of COVID-19 were recorded in the latest round of test results, according to the Department of Health. Now, the number of active cases remains at 15 after 5 people recovered from the virus since Friday. In other news, the island has seen a spike in the caseload of diabetes patients after enduring more than 1 year of pandemic conditions. Now, this was told to the Hamilton Rotary Club yesterday by the Bermuda Diabetes Association as the charity seeks to tackle one of Bermuda's most prevalent chronic illnesses when it saw triple the usual demand for its patient-assisted program, helping people cover the medication expenses. Sarah Bosch de Noya, a diabetes educator educator at the association, said that she had seen a huge number of new referrals in the last month from people potentially at risk from the disease. Now, she said stress, dietary changes, and less physical activity could be driving up numbers, but added that the pandemic could have probed people into thinking more about their health. She also told the club that she joined a webinar by the International Diabetes Federation in the spring that predicted a rise in type 2 diabetes, particularly in youth, and said that we probably have 8,000 to 9,000 people living with type 2 diabetes, and 80% is thought to be prevented or delayed by lifestyle modifications. Police reported a quarantine breach at the Kenneneer Watson home after it is said that the family left their home yesterday morning to resume a quote-unquote normal life. Sophia Kenneneer and husband Michael Watson returned to a sea of police officers at their Devonshire residence after attempting to go to work and drop the children to camp. Now, a BPS spokesperson said that they can confirm the family are within their residence now, which is being supervised by officers. They say that as a result of the quarantine breach committed yesterday, a further file is being prepared with another anticipated court appearance for the couple. And the Department of Energy has launched a new public survey to collect information about the public interest in solar energy. The data is being gathered in order to better inform the department on how to best target upcoming measures to increase access to solar technologies and future energy conservation initiatives. Now, among them will be an energy fund that aims to increase the public's access to energy independence through solar energy. The online survey can be filled in by anyone over the age of 18, but only one response is needed per household. All responses must be in by August 6th. Minister of Home Affairs Walter Ruban is encouraging the public to complete the online survey to help the government design its approach to solar power. For today's weather, we have a high near 85 and a low near 78 degrees. We will see a bright start to the day with increasing cloud through the afternoon. A ridge of high pressure remains nearby, maintaining dry weather and partly cloudy skies. Showers are expected, however, to develop by Thursday, with longer wet spells moving in during Friday into Saturday. That's all for our Daily Hour news break. Let's head back to Jamal and Michaela in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
Lee, thanks so much for that. Did you say, what was the percentage of diabetes in Bermuda, did you say?
I said 80% 80% can be prevented or delayed by lifestyle modifications, but we probably have 8,000 to 9,000 people in the island living with type 2 diabetes.
Interesting. And 80% preventable. Well, great follow-up with Tamara, because again, things like water can help prevent those kind of situations and wellness. So Lee, thanks so much for that. Appreciate you as always, and we'll see your bright smile tomorrow morning. You're most welcome. We'll see you tomorrow, guys.
Bye, Lee.
Bye, guys.
Even with me, being the miserable one, with these ladies, you all folks have got a good morning starting, I used to, people call me these names. They say I'm grumpy and all this stuff. And then Leanna and Michaela and Sherry come along and Larry, and they're like, yes, happiness on the show. But whatever, you all call me what you want.
You are not grumpy.
Exactly. Thank you, Michaela.
I will vouch for you. You are not grumpy.
If I'm grumpy, it's the person, not me. But anyway, I probably shouldn't have said that. Let's take a quick break and come back. Tamara Richardson, always enjoy a good convo with our sister Tamara, talking about water and dehydration today. As you can see, you can't see, but in my cup, I've got water, not coffee. So stick with us.
Hi, I'm Karen, a nurse at the old folks home. These long hours used to kill my feet until my hairdresser told me about a great place to buy a pair of clogs. Medical House. Finally, relief. They also carry uniforms in bright, bold colors. And not to mention the support stocking.
Karen, Miss Soltis bet her bet again.
Oh gosh, these days, I need all the support I can get.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dandy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. We're spotlighting our old friends Woodstock Farms, who started up 50 years ago in the belief that we need more trustworthy natural food sources. Starting with one product, their line, mostly certified organic, is now more than 250 strong in 10 categories. This month we're featuring accoutrements of the barbecue, for us the pinnacle of home cuisine and one of the few forms of restorative recreation now within our reach. Try Woodstock Organic Sweet Relish, Tomato Ketchup, Baby Kosher Dill Pickles, Sauerkraut, and Hickory and Original Barbecue Sauce. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show. She's Michaela Ian. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can stream this and many other locally produced shows as well. Before we bring Tamara on, I just want to say, I've been going to sleep much earlier, and you guys notice I don't have the bags under my eyes anymore. So I haven't been keeping up with the NBA basketball playoffs, but it looks like the Bucks of Milwaukee defeated the Suns of Phoenix last night for their first NBA championship since 1971. I'm pretty sure Michaela and I do not know anyone for the Milwaukee Bucks, so it's not really anyone to say congratulations to.
I mean, yay.
Yeah, her and her cheap. Yeah. Well, you know what? We're going to tell Tamara she's a Bucks fan. Let's bring Tamara into the conversation just for the Bucks folks. So just congratulate Tamara. She probably doesn't, care about basketball, but she's a Bucks fan. All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Hi, Michaela. Hi, Jamal. The only thing I know about the Bucks is that someone plays for them who has two other brothers who have won rings as well. Things you learn at 5 a.m. on Instagram.
This is perfect. See, she knows. So Giannis, I don't know how to pronounce it. The tall guy, Giannis, he has a brother that played for the Lakers. Well, he didn't really get on the court, but he's on the Lakers roster, and he won a championship with the Lakers last year. So that's what Tamara's referring to, that many people don't know because he never made it on the court. So, Tamara, you get some points for that.
I'm a pearman. We know things.
Wow.
Yes, we do.
Wow. So that's reference to her and Michaela being intelligent and getting all the questions right because they had the pyramid in them. But welcome to the show, Tamara.
Thank you.
Tamara and Tamara Jr. over there. But anyway, let's get to the conversation. Obviously, we appreciate you being a part of this show since February, March, and doing what you do with the Movement Moment. Very important conversations. I actually really think it's been helpful. I've gotten great feedback from people discussing things that they were not aware of. But every month you focus on a different aspect of wellness. Why did you choose water for the month of July?
Yeah, so every month I do my horoscope of power. This month, the power is hydration, the power of water. It's hot. And I recognize how much of a challenge it is for me to consume something that is free. And sugar tax aside, I just couldn't fathom why it was so hard for me, someone who knows what I know, to drink water. So I realized how important it would be to focus on hydration, but it's actually more about focusing on the routine that one has to adopt to make hydration a part of your daily lifestyle. It's critical. It's critical to your human body processes. It's critical to your health. But for some reason, we have to be told and reminded and almost forced, if you're in a school setting, to drink water. So let's talk about the power of water today.
Yeah. I think real quickly, Michaela, I think as a young person, I was always playing sports, especially summer doing cricket clinic and so on. I never liked water. My taste was always for things that were sugary. As years went on, you had more of these sports drinks come along and the flavored waters and so on. So it never became a thing. But now in the last probably 5 years, I only literally drink water or fresh juices that I make. And I think, for me, it's because I was never integrated into drinking water like that. It was always, I wasn't allowed to drink juices, for instance. Like my mother wouldn't allow my sister and I to have Ribena, any sweet juices, but I still was able to drink a soda here and there when I wasn't around. It was tough for me getting onto water.
Yeah, I think the idea of healthy gets somewhat skewed when marketing comes in, right? A juice can be marketed as healthy when in actual fact, no, water is what's healthy, right? We all need, and we can get into it, but we all need half our body weight in ounces in water a day. If you are getting less than that, then you're dehydrated. You're chronically dehydrated. And at some point in life, you will figure out how important water was and how critical your lack of water is to your health. So I can't stress enough how important it is to make drinking water regularly a part of your routine. We can talk about some tips and tricks to make it more part of your day, because I've heard ad nauseum, I just can't drink water. I just don't think about it. And I can relate. So.
No, we'll get into it. It's funny that Jamal says that. So like, I literally drink water, coffee, wine. That's it. And I drink water all day, and I make my children drink water all day. So when people are like, I don't like water, I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand what you're saying right now. It's so weird to me.
I think for you, Michaela, you've established a routine of drinking water. I know this myself. If I'm busy and I put my head down, 5 hours later, I pick my head up. My water levels haven't moved. So I've had to develop the routine, right, of some of us just need other tools.
Yeah, no, I totally got it. So tell us why you're so passionate about wellness.
So I'm passionate about helping people understand that there are things available to us that are free, that are critical to our healthcare. There's so much talk in the community about the cost of healthcare. And I do get it, right? I own a pharmacy. It's no secret. I understand how expensive it is to care for yourself once you're sick. But there's so little talk about how not to be sick, right? The best way to afford healthcare is to be healthy. So I found that this year I made a pact with myself to become more healthy, and I made a pact to speak about it widely. I recognize that when you have a tribe around you, you're more likely to be accountable. You're more likely to stick to your routines. You're more likely to be disciplined. So hence me creating my vibe, my tribe, which is what movement stands for, with Tamara Richardson. I'm interested in people understanding that you can make healthy choices. It doesn't cost a lot. Water is free if you have a filter and it's clean and healthy. Sunlight is free. Sleep is free.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. Like, even if I fall off the wagon, when I tell you, every morning I have a green smoothie. I might have pizza and french fries later, but I'm starting the day trying, right? Like every single day, that's what I'm doing. So at least I can start out my day with that, a ton of water. And I mean, I have my coffee, but you know.
And I don't feel like we fall off the wagon, right? I feel like it's life. And I think words matter, and we constantly tell ourselves we're doing something wrong. No, we're living life. We just need to develop a set of habits that complement our life. I'm going to eat what I want to eat. Cop match is coming, St. George's. I'm going to drink what I want to drink, but I'm going to hydrate this week.
Yes, absolutely. So that was a perfect segue, actually. So we're spending all this time outdoors, right? So what are your top tips for staying safe and hydrated?
My top tip is to always have water available. Get yourself a stainless steel or glass container. I'm not a big proponent of plastic bottles, especially when they're in the heat. But if plastic is what you have, drink it. Just don't drink it if you've had it in your car all day. Carry water with you. Another thing is set reminders, right? Put reminders in your calendar, in your phone to hydrate. Make water a part of your appetizer, right? So before every meal, drink a glass of water. You'll actually eat less. Just be prepared. Like my routines run without a hitch if I'm prepared. I traveled last week. My routine didn't change. The daily hours still happened. I worked out in the morning. Mind you, I was an hour earlier, so I had an hour less sleep, but routines matter. So always be ready, carry the water with you, and try not to buy the rest of it, right? If you don't have it in your house, water's all you can drink.
Yeah. No, that's a big thing. It's so funny because like my kids are always like, can you buy more juice? No, drink water. And so what I've done is my oldest son is obsessed with Perrier like me. So I just found the favorite Perriers and I'm like, yep, drink them all. That's fine. As long as you're getting your water in, we are okay.
Exactly. And foods that are high in water help: lettuce, celery, zucchini, cabbage, watermelon.
Yes.
You know, as long as you're hydrating in some way. But like I said, half your body weight in water in ounces.
Yes.
Make
Absolutely.
sure it happens.
So we all know that the sun safety things, so we need all the sun safety things such as like sunscreen, hats, etc. But what can we do to make people understand that water is just as important?
Well, let's talk about what happens when you don't drink water, right? The water is so critical. It helps create your saliva. It regulates your body temperature. It protects your tissues, your spinal cord. Your body is majority water. Your cardiovascular health, your brain health. When we get sick, we get dehydrated, we know how terribly we feel. So, what more can I say, right, about the importance of water? Being dehydrated is such a risk in many countries who don't have the privilege of fresh water. We're privileged to have access to clean, healthy drinking water. So all we need now to do is to establish the routine of making it an essential part of our day.
Indeed.
Absolutely. So what are ways that people can stay hydrated if they don't love water, or what tips do you have for people who don't love water but know they need to drink it?
So the first tip I would have is what's beside your bed. Clear it off. If it's not related to your health or wellness, it doesn't need to be beside your bed. When you go to bed at night and when you wake up in the morning, whatever essential vitamin, CBD supplement, a bottle of water, keep it right beside your bed so that when you go to sleep at night and when you wake up in the morning, that can be the first thing that you partake in. And then, like I said, for the rest of the day, things like setting a reminder on your phone, drinking a glass of water before every meal, making sure that you always have it with you in a water-safe container. If you're out in the sun, making sure you consume even more than that minimum amount I talked about. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, you absolutely want to make sure you're employing these tips. That's pretty much it right now.
So I know one of the tips, and I'm sure you probably do this or have done it, like, when you go to the spa, like when you would go to Willow Stream and they have like the infused waters. So that's one of the things that I used to recommend for people who were like, I don't like water. And I'm like, come on, you have to drink it. You have to find a way to make it enjoyable.
If you absolutely have to do that, then that go for it. I would just say brush your teeth afterwards. I'm always worried about the acidity in lemon and limes. So make sure you care for your teeth. But yes, if you have to add lemon or lime, that's fine. And like I said, watermelon is high in water, cucumber, you can infuse. Yeah, you absolutely can.
So there's no excuse. That's what we're saying here.
I don't like to do that. It took me this long to figure it out. So
absolutely. So tell me how People's Pharmacy promotes wellness.
So one thing I will say is that we recognize swimming in Bermuda is a wonderful thing. The water is all around us, but so are jellyfish. So this summer, People's Pharmacy decided to create, and I don't know if we can see it on the screen, to create what we're calling a summer sting giveaway. It's a little bag that you get for free if you're a loyalty customer and spend $150 online. It contains everything you need to deal with jellyfish stings. Little first aid kit that's always good to keep on hand in your car when you're at the beach. It also includes a People's Pharmacy hat and a few other giveaways. And then the other thing is to just follow People's BDA and Movement with Tamara Donnell, because at every turn, we're trying to freely give people information and education to help them stay well and to help them afford healthcare.
Absolutely. So what is your overall goal with Movement with Tamara Donnell?
My overall goal and my passion is for people to understand and accept that they are the driver when it comes to their healthcare. Their doctor absolutely is necessary. If you have an acute illness, if something's wrong at night, absolutely go to the hospital. But when it comes to your overall health and wellness, you are number one on your team. You have to tune in. You have to be vigilant and diligent. There's no magic pill. There's no, right? When COVID came up, everybody talked about immune health. There's no magic amount of vitamin C you can take to combat years and years of unhealthy choices. Nope. But you can always start today. So my goal is to help people understand and feel empowered to take care of themselves. You don't need the government to tell you, don't need the government to tax you to stop you from doing it. What you need to do is understand what you're doing to your body when you make certain choices and understand what your alternatives are.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I want to say, and this is a true testimony, just from listening to and watching the movement moment. How do I pronounce it? Melatonin?
Melatonin.
Right. Yeah. I didn't even know what it was before, but that's what's helped with my sleep, like no lie. And this is literally just coming out of the conversations from Tamara with the movement moment.
Yeah. Melatonin is magical and cannabis is key.
Yeah. No, seriously, it's been helpful. And I say this because it's so easy to just sit back, watch people talk, listen to people talk, but to actually adhere and say, you know what, I'm having these issues. Maybe if I try this method, it may actually improve me. And I think that to me is key to being, and I hate this term, forgive me, but an influencer. It's not about the amount of people, right? It's really about the quality of the content and the, you know, who is doing it. Like, I'm one person that's literally benefited from this, but who's to say there are not others that have caught something and it said, you know what? I don't like water, but let me eat more watermelon. Simple things like that.
And there are so many people with so many health challenges. Liana just spoke about diabetes. You would be surprised how just adopting the habit of water would help you with things like constipation, things like diabetes. Trust me, when you actually consume the amount of water your body needs, you will regularly eliminate what needs to come out.
Absolutely. And that's another thing. Like, people are always asking about like skincare tips and stuff. Water. Like, people ask me all the time, oh, why is your skin clear? I drink a ton of water. Like, ton.
Your skin health, your hair health. People are always asking, like, how do you get your hair moisturized? Water, right? Hydration and moisture is water. It's not about grease and shine. It's water.
Absolutely.
Tom, I must ask. So I've been into some department stores over in the US, and a lot of them are pushing water, right? And they have this these things where at 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., like water. Does People's Pharmacy have any of those bottles?
People's Pharmacy will have those bottles, and they're, you know, the little reward, which I think we spoke about in March, that hormone that releases when you achieve something. So it's that little trick to get you to keep drinking and motivate you. Yes. So People's will have theirs in 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the importation timeline.
That's a show in itself. Carol Marks, she's saying watermelon is delicious, but water is certainly cheaper in Bermuda. Well, Carol.
Well, I will say nothing's as expensive as sickness. So we do have to keep things in perspective. Those with cancer, diabetes, Crohn's disease, I'm sure they'll take watermelon over the cost of their medicine. So
this is true.
Let's keep it in perspective, folks.
Yeah, but I just want to say, Carol, I highly disagree. Watermelon is so nasty. Am I the only one who thinks that?
Cold watermelon is perfect. When it's not cold, it's like a sponge.
Oh, you like juices. Juice it. Add some lime, some cucumber, some
vodka.
Ginger. Vodka. Gin. I would put gin there.
No, you all had it. I don't even like the flavor of it. But no, I think the point is that she's making. I think you know, there's flavor in natural water, and I think, you know, whatever works for you all, whatever helps you all, like find a way. For me, I know that I've seen a lot of people, and I'm not sure if you touched on this on one of the movement moments, Tamara. I've seen a lot of people move towards water, and I'm glad Michaela brought it up. The what's it called, sparkling waters, Perrier and stuff like that. A lot of people, that's how they move towards water.
Yeah,
absolutely. But not all water is good water. Those of us who drink a lot of water have our preferred water. I would just caution people to make sure it's quality mineral water.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Or put a filter on your tap and it runs for free out of your tank.
Yeah. I will say this much though, before we let you go. I personally don't like a lot of things that most people like, and like watermelon I mentioned. And so for me, I would rather drink the water. But people find it strange that I do not like cold water. Like if it's cold, I won't drink it. I have to have room temp water.
Same.
Does that make do you guys know if that makes a difference?
It absolutely makes a difference. It's actually better to drink at room temperature. Yeah. Think about what happens when you make grease and oil cold. Drink it at room temperature, especially if it's with your food. Definitely room temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are y'all a room temp person too, Michaela?
Absolutely. I don't drink cold water. The only water I drink cold are my Perriers. That's it. Because Perrier should.
That makes sense. Well, we have a few comments. Obviously, watermelon has become the topic of the conversation. Watermelon is not my favorite unless it's infused with vodka. Look, Michaela's got a thing in there.
We're breaking stereotypes here, guys.
Absolutely. Aaron T. Lugo agrees with me. Watermelon is nasty. Charlotte Fox, she says, I'm just starting drinking my water because it's just so hot. And I think that has a, it definitely matters to a lot of people. The temperature plays a role. But keep in mind, folks, even on the coldest days, our bodies still require water. Raina is a fan of room temp water all day. We have quite a few people, honestly, that seem to think room temp's the way to go. So Akina McCollum also, and Carol Griffiths, she's on team cold water. But Tamara, thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate you. Looking forward to seeing what you have in store for us next month. We'll be running 2 movement moments next week in the lead up to Cop Match. So folks, do not miss out. Go to Movement MVMT with Tamara Donnell on Instagram, and you can also follow at Peoples BDA for more information on everything that they're doing. So Tamara, thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you more.
Thanks a lot. Drink up, folks. Have a great day.
Bye, Sam.
Bye. See you later.
You know what? I should have kept Tamara around for the daily play, since you guys think you're all sharp.
You want to be stumped by 2 pyramid women today?
No, I don't want to be bullied. So look, we're going to take a quick break, folks. Do not go anywhere. You know how it works. If you get the answer before Michaela, you get a prize. If you enjoyed that conversation, a very important conversation with Tamara, water and dehydration. It's interesting how we make certain conversations so fun. Michaela definitely knows how to make a conversation fun, and Tamara. So make sure that you show us some love, give a thumbs up, a like, if you appreciated the information we discussed. Honestly, appreciate everyone who continues to engage during these conversations. The more we engage, the more we all learn from one another. Stick with us. Do not go anywhere. We're going to be back to stump the Michaela in.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio. Tune in every Tuesday through Sunday at 7 p.m. Bermuda time as we bring you the love, romance, sexiness with nighttime jams. Only on your station for conversations and entertainment. BCG Radio. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices.
All right, welcome back. If you haven't already, make sure you download the BCG Radio app so you and your, lover or yourself can enjoy nighttime jams after 7 p.m. Bermuda time every weekday, Tuesday through Sunday through Well, Tuesday through Sunday. You get what I'm saying. Thanks again to Medicals, One Communications, Lindo's, our friends over at Channel 82, People's Pharmacy, BEDC, everyone who continues to support this. And of course, all of you in the audience, we appreciate you. It's time for the Daily Play brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. It's time for Michaela to guess what song these famous lyrics belong to. Michaela,
Oh gosh.
are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, you have to guess the artist and song title.
Jesus.
Here we go.
Okay.
Quote, gotta change my answering machine now that I'm alone.
Answering machine, now that I'm alone. Go ahead, keep going. Cause I'm so sick of love songs. So sad. I can't remember the words. It's Neo. Love songs.
Well,
You don't want to keep.
What's the name
You
of the
don't.
song?
So sick.
Okay. Oh, she got that.
You don't want to keep going. No?
I thought I had her this morning, folks. I did.
No. I love that song.
I thought I had her, folks. She didn't even give you all a chance to win it. Folks, we're gonna have to figure something out. Tomorrow it's geography. We'll be asking, name that place. So she's very good at that. So I don't think she's gotten one of those wrong.
Really good at geography. I actually quite enjoy it. When I was little, we've always had a globe in our house, and I used to literally like spin the globe and like put my finger down and I'm going to this place, I'm going to that place when I was a kid. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna stump her, folks. We're gonna stump. I mean, Michaela is fire. Yeah, she's good. Carol, don't worry. We got her when we go old school. We've gotten her twice with old school. We got her with last week with Sam Cooke. I'm trying to think. It was another one recently.
Michael Jackson.
We got you with Whitney Houston as well. I will always love you.
Which was embarrassing, frankly.
Yeah, we've gotten a few. But Kales, what are your thoughts on today's conversation? History, water.
I love the conversation with Tamara. Like, I mean, shout out to my mom, Dr. Kendra Lee Pearman. Like, we grew up in a very wellness-focused household. I was raised vegan. I'm not vegan anymore, but health and wellness has been the focus of my life since I was a child. So I love these sort of conversations. I love talking about how we can take our own health and wellness in our hands. And if I can just give one tip to people, because I meant to ask Tamara about this and it just slipped my mind, but we drink a lot in the summer. It is what it is. So one of the things that I started doing, if you like swizzle, cut it with sparkling water. It still tastes nice, but you're getting half the calories, half the juice, half the alcohol, and then make sure that you're having a drink, then drinking water, having a drink, drinking water, because it does so much when we're talking about hydration, because it is hot and the days are long and I just want everybody to be safe.
Indeed. No, for real. And sorry, Dr. Pearman. She's such a rebellious one. Talking about I grew up this way. I'm no longer that. Soon as she got out, she must have said, But no, seriously, Kales, I think, as I stated, my mother wouldn't let my sister and I have sugary drinks. We couldn't drink juices, any of that stuff. Never really ever going on to juices like the time you buy at the what's it called at the
like Tropicana and stuff. Yeah,
Capri Suns there. But I do make my own fresh juices. Like if you ever see me drinking juice, it's most likely something that I made. But that said, I think the conversation about dehydration and water is so important. Even the fact, like growing up, the only thing I really knew about water is sometimes we think we're hungry, we're actually thirsty. Our body needs.
Yes.
So I appreciate the conversation. As far as history, at the end of the day, taxpayers have a right to have a say in what's taught to their children in a public system. But I think it's time that we understand, there's a lot of resources today that weren't available years ago. Let's take advantage of those resources and try to ensure that we can educate not just our children, but those around us. Because like I said, when I look at people like the late Mr. Charles Leroy Riley Sr., who was very helpful with information as it pertained to the unions and hotels and tourism. And I eventually worked in tourism, taking that with me. I wouldn't have known a lot of that stuff if it was not for him. So appreciate the information. Kales, you got any daily inspiration for us?
I sure do. And this is so pertinent to today's conversation. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. So if you're not drinking that water, you're not going to change. Go drink that water.
I love that. I love that. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you, folks. Very simple. All right. On that note, thanks again to our partners, Medical House One Communications and Lindos, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. If you haven't already, you know what to do. Make sure you go to our YouTube channel and subscribe today. We appreciate you. We love you. And we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Michaela Ian. I'm Jamal Hartman. My friends, make it a great day. Peace. Uh-oh.